now we're going to move into foliar season.
10-4.
Trying to think of how to properly stage this through the growth of a crop. If you have, I think Chad talked about this on the podcast a lot, dropped, been the last one with Chad and Temple. They're leaving it alone during the pollination period.
Yep.
They're hitting it before, they're hitting it after. It's like after, it's like gloves off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's boom, it's go time.
Yeah.
But it's that because I used to shoot for tassel and pollination, but at the same time, or now I've shifted more to pre-tassel apps, and running in the pre-tassel. Guys are like, what are you running the pre-tassel? I'm running Balancer, Boron and Molly. That's going to help with the health of the pollen in corn, the source to sink. Yep. As we are shifting, I'm not running vegetative kelp anymore or grow up. I'm running repro, which is reproductive kelp, which is sending the signals to the plant of, hey, the plant, we're shifting over to making babies time. Yep. As Rob says, we're shifting to making babies. Yep. And so repro, balancer, fulvic, that's my corn right at, when I see the first tassel, it's usually in the back corner of a field, or it's like I'm actually out there cutting plants, I'm unrolling leaves. Where is this at? Trying to have that, being not the drive-by. Not
60
the drive-by.
by 60.
Yeah. I actually told Schneider this. I've walked my fields more this year. That's what I'm trying to do. I wrote goals for myself for 2026. One of them was I want to walk my ground more. And I have. I've tried to be very intentional. I'm trying to take the boys with me.
Awesome.
But how are they going to learn if I'm not, or who are they going to learn from? I'm not saying I'm a great teacher, but hey, we can learn this together.
Well, and there's probably times that they're more observant than you are, Josh.
They are. Oh, dude, without question. And they ask the questions that my mind would rather skip over. Of Wesley is, why is there not a plant there? Shut up, dude.
It's just a skip.
Yeah, it's a skip, man. And then he's like, can we dig for it? Yeah. And so we start digging. And there was a seed there. Okay. What was the problem? This year was, in a couple spots, it was a crusting issue. Yep. And then he's, why did it crust? Great question.
Beautiful.
And so leading to these things of children have an incredible ability to humble us. Yeah. It's like,
they don't hold it back.
Yeah. I want to look down the row standing and look at that beautiful green line. Yeah. Not get down and look at the plant like this, and and be like, ooh, it's actually like a little discolored. That's
awesome.
But foliar,
yes,
that's my foliar on corn. After I'm gonna start pushing more nutrition, more K acetate. That was a great add to the program last year. And then also looking at when we get to the end of corn, specifically slowing the ethylene. Yeah, I'm not gonna rip the can off or the Band-Aid off the yield loss or what is it? Test weight. The whole test weight argument. But how can we slow that plant from a rapid dying, a rapid end of development?
Well, it goes back to the brake pedal.
Yes.
How do we create a brake pedal there at the finish line?
Yeah, if you're coming in on a good finish and you have a weird weather snap, it's like ease in. Like, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to be fine. Yep. And keep going. So I'm looking at the end, trying to be more proactive of when we are just done, when we're burned out, when we're ready to just get in the combine and go, making sure that I'm being observant of that plant. Yeah. Now, dude, if the crop is just effed, then it is. Okay. But if we're at a point where it is, hey, this is a good looking crop, this and that, can we slow this? Can we improve on that? Just like I said, just being observant.
Yes. Yes.
That's why I think foliar, that's why I think the foliar season, it's not just go run it.
Yep.
That is when we get into the testing side, the sap test, the tissue testing, looking at those, identifying, hopefully you have some data from the past that you can look at on crops and say, hey, at R4 or whatever last year, we had a significant reduction in this. I need to pay attention to that.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here. I'm just saying
that's
things.
Why we do. That's why we're here preaching foliars, is to solve the problems that are there.
Yeah.
We're not trying to create problems.
Right. Absolutely. It's a Band-Aid if you get a cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too, realize that when you're doing foliars too, I mean, if there's no groceries underneath, I mean, you got to make sure that you don't overstimulate too. I mean, there is some efficiencies, but you can't replace pounds if pounds are needed.
Correct.
That's just the biggest take home there.
If someone tells you that this product replaces 30 pounds of FOSS and you need to run a gallon an acre over the top, question marks.
Well, and maybe they have the data for it, and I'm not going to knock their data, but prove it on your operation.
Yes. Yes. They say this applied can, well, I mean, this is something I learned, Austin Schweitzer by Hutch that is making melted urea.
Yep.
That's when I started going down the road of, okay, are there applications that can, how do I say this? It's like pack a bigger punch than a different application. Melted urea was one of those.
Yep.
It was, hey, the plant was very responsive to this, and I saw, a significant increase of X, and therefore I didn't need as much soil applied.
Yep.
And that was kind of where it took me down that road of, can this replace, and being cautious with so.
And I may go back a little bit. Is it possible?
Oh, melted urea is in my foliar on corn too.
Okay, there you go. There you go. But going back on, you got to have pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a chance that you could foliar feed nutrients that the plant wouldn't need to pull it from the soil? There's definitely a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this, everything has to work in your favor.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Like, if you give a stimulation like that and you're not going to be doing it every 7 to 10 days, you're doing a one-shot deal.
Yeah.
You're going to need the groceries underneath.
Yes.
Now,
because you are signaling that plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you're able to hire manage like that, more power to you. There's an opportunity that you could do fertility that way.
Yeah.
The opportunity's there. I just don't want to say I'm doing this one foliar and it's replacing everything that I put up front.
And there are companies out there right now that are trying to push their products as a complete fertility replacement because the dollars on paper look better to a guy that hasn't done his research. And that's scary. It's scary that because margins are tight. Mm-hmm. Guys are looking for how can I do better or spend less dollars. And there's a lot of great companies out there, and there's some real sketchy companies out there. Run this, and it will take care of all of that.
Well, my biggest thing is if you do that, take a soil sample as well.
Absolutely. Because
are you replacing 30 pounds, or are you finally using 30 pounds that has always been excess for the last 5 years?
Right. Yeah. And with every sap this year, sap or tissue, I'm pulling a rapid.
Just to see where it's
every
at.
Time.
Yep.
Every single time. And that's just continuing to build my personal database.
Yep.
Anyway, people ask, I'm sending mine to New Age Labs. That's where I send for the rapid.
Yes.
And it's...
I think they might... There's other people that
do saps. Yeah, and they do the saps as well.
I think they're the only... Well, there's other labs starting to do saps.
Okay.
So,
guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content